guys, welcome back to the Flower Files. I am always super excited to have guests on, but today this one is very near and dear to my heart. I am super excited that I have Christina here with me today. Christina is one of those people in my life that fell into my life in a way that I wasn't expecting, and then fell back into my life in another way that I wasn't expecting. The world is a magical place. So,
It
Christina,
seriously
I am
is.
so honored that you said yes to joining us today. You impact me, you impact my entire family. Um, I'd love to know your version of how we met.
I was gonna say, stop making me blush a little bit, okay? I'm truly honored that you invited me. When you first approached me, I was like, am I even that interesting? Is
Oh,
there
no,
any?
yes.
No, I'm really excited to be here. So Liza actually did the florals for my wedding and completely knocked it out of the park, of course, as we all expected. And she was recommended to me by my wedding planner. And so that's where I first met you, is when you came to my house and my parents' house and did our beautiful florals. And then I don't know,
They were like disco balls and greens. And your dad, to this day, I will never forget his description. He was so proud of the food and he was so excited about the setup. And he was like, "We're going to have a food orgy. It's going to be great."
as he
I
said
just kind of stood there with greens and clippers in my hand on a ladder, being like, "Okay, okay, I understand what he's saying."
That's hilarious. Um, yeah, and then, obviously somehow you ended up, right, am I allowed to say, in my office.
Yes.
And so
He
I'm a
walked in and
dermatologist.
I was like, "Oh shit, I'm sitting in a paper gown."
It was kind of funny because I recognized your last name, but your legal first name is actually different.
Yeah.
So when I first, walked in, I was like, I don't know, is this Liza?
Well, okay, so threw me under the bus. Boom, boop. There we go. My full name is Marion Elizabeth. Liza comes out of the Elizabeth because my mom's first name is also Marion, and they wanted me to have a name that was different.
I
So,
love
like that first day of school was always tragic because everybody was like Marion, and I was like, "I'm
that's
here."
me.
Everybody was like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "Shh, nobody."
So
So it
sorry to
probably
call you
wasn't
out.
until middle school that nobody called me that anymore because like teachers knew it was whatever, whatever, whatever. But so for people who do not see the cool little logo that you have and they have
Oh,
no idea other than yep, got to sit up
there we go.
straight. There we go.
Yeah, that
Um,
posture.
exactly, good posture. And maybe somebody's listening instead of seeing. Christine, will you tell us who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Christina DeLeon. I'm a board certified physician assistant, and I'm practicing dermatology at Well Dermatology. We have a lot of different locations on the Eastern Shore. Specifically, I go to our Ken Island and our Easton location. Um, I've been in dermatology for 7.5 years.
Mm.
Um, and I'm very passionate about, preventing skin cancers. It's actually ironic that you asked me to speak because May is Melanoma Awareness Month, and melanoma is a very aggressive type of skin cancer. And so, skin cancers in general, obviously, I feel like when we're looking at you being outside farming and this whole podcast, the big thing is sun, right? And how to like
Yeah.
safely protect your skin. Um,
Yes. Yes. I can always tell when one of my staff have gone down because there's always a little package of sunscreen that has appeared on the desk with a nice little note from you. That's like, everybody needs this. And I'm like, damn it.
I
Oh,
know.
I I am a I guess skin abuser. I guess it's safe to say I am a skin abuser. Um, I have always been that like let's put on the oil and go outside and bake in the sun because I don't know you're shaking your head.
A little bit,
But
just a little bit.
I love the sun. I don't do the oil anymore. Now it's I try to be a little kinder to my skin.
That's good
But I
progress.
it is
You know,
it's
the
called
first step of
education.
addiction is admitting, right?
I am sun addicted.
I
I have an
mean,
addiction problem.
I feel like, although that I would consider myself more of like a vampire when it comes to sun, the big thing is I also still go outside, right? And
Yeah,
there's healthy ways to do that. I would never say don't enjoy the sun, don't hike, don't farm, don't garden.
yeah,
Especially where we live in such a beautiful place, outside is inevitable.
yeah.
And the sun, we know, I think you even have asked me this, like what type of sunscreen do I use? Which is the best type? And you see lots of headlines out there that are saying, sunscreen has, cancer-causing ingredients or sunscreen's detected in blood. And so I'm very passionate, that we know actually there's a lot more data that sun is actually a bigger carcinogen than some of these ingredients that are found in sunscreens.
Hmm.
And the other big thing is detectable in like your bloodstream, for example, doesn't necessarily mean harmful, right? If I drink a cup of coffee, you can detect caffeine in my bloodstream, right?
You're
Doesn't mean
much
that
nicer than me because I went right to liquor. I was like, well, you can detect liquor in your bloodstream.
that too.
So,
So
yeah,
the increased quantities, speaking on that end, obviously can become harmful. Um,
yes.
But the best sunscreen that you can do, or the best thing that you can do for yourself being outside is putting it on.
I was going to
Um,
say the best sunscreen is probably the one that you will wear.
100%. I
Yeah.
always kind of my little thing for patients that I say is like my favorite like your favorite sunscreen is like your favorite pair of jeans. I could sit there and recommend brand after brand. This one hugs me here, this one feels better on, this one's softer. But you're gonna have your favorite pair. You're gonna have your favorite feel of what you're putting on. And that's the one that's the best for you.
Yeah.
Um, and so
Yeah.
if you tend, there's two different types of sunscreen too. There's chemical and physical sunscreen. So chemical is the one that you see a little bit in the headlines as being something, maybe they're more, high levels of it detected or hurting the environment, where physical is the classic lifeguard, the zinc
Hmm.
nose,
Hmm.
it's a physical block, so they tend to have a little bit more of a white cast. And so if, I always tell patients if you're passionate that you don't want a chemical sunscreen that's getting absorbed and reflecting the UV light, then there's nothing wrong with doing a physical sunscreen or a mineral sunscreen is what they're marketed as. And so sometimes it's
And
just finding the perfect
shirts.
fit.
Those UV shirts too. I really have found because for a long time I was like, oh, that's going to be hotter. I don't know how they do the special fabric and the wicking moisture and all of that, but those, my son had a fishing shirt and he was like, you should get one of these. And I was like, I'm not going to wear that. He's like, when you
Right.
cut the grass, you come in the house and you're itchy. He's like, wear one of the shirts. And I was like, I don't want, and he was like, just try it once, mom. And I was like, okay. I put it on and was like, oh my God, the bug can't bite me. The stuff
Right.
that I'm mowing isn't landing on me. And now the only thing that's exposed are my hands and my face. So I'm like, okay, okay, okay. So
See,
I've started to wear them a little more
I am
frequently.
so proud of
So
you. That's amazing. That's amazing. No, those
yeah,
are huge. I mean, and even wearing a hat, you're getting the
yeah,
shade, sunglasses.
yeah.
So it doesn't always have to be, greasing up.
Mm-mm.
Obviously, that's ideal, but um, I always get asked what my personal favorite sunscreen is, and this is crazy, but Trader Joe's. Don't sleep on Trader Joe's daily facial sunscreen.
Interesting.
It's like matted, velvety texture, so like sweat wise. It's good stuff.
Interesting. 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 Because I'm always like, stuff runs. I don't, even if I get up in the morning, take a shower, and put nothing else on, nothing, by like 3 or 4 o'clock, I have sensitive and oily skin that like
Yeah.
my eyes just start to get irritated. It doesn't matter. So I go in, I wash my face, and whatever I've had on is gone, and then I just put it back on, which I mean, that's been my whole life. My skin has been sensitive my whole life. I've always struggled. I can always tell when I eat certain trigger foods. Like my
Right.
skin is like, oh, look, today's, Tuesday. Let's have hives. Great.
Especially with all the environmental triggers, you're probably exposed to
Yeah.
too, just with
Yeah.
gardening, farming.
Oh my God, last night I was outside, we had a storm that was coming, and I'm cranking down all of the sides on the hoop houses. And when I came in the house, from everything from my thighs down because I was in shorts and I had thrown on just flip-flops. My skin was so red and irritated because of whatever the wind had stirred up. It was just like, oh, we're angry now. I was like, great. Let the electricity stand long enough for me to be able to go wash my skin.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Oh. So, okay. So obviously wear sunscreen,
Right.
but I feel like in the skin world over time, the okay, so we do flowers and
Right.
flowers are beauty and all of that kind of stuff. I feel like skincare and beauty has changed over time so
Oh,
significantly.
so much.
And there's now all of these commercials about, wear this and do that, and this does this, and cantaloupe extract, and all of these things. And you've got natural and non natural. And how in the world do you navigate? I think I'm asking you like 30 questions at once,
No,
but
no,
how
no,
do
you
you?
bring up a good point. Like, I think also I kind of blame a little bit of this on TikTok. So, like, when I first started out in dermatology, TikTok wasn't really a thing. But now very common that I'll have, a young person come in and be like, I saw this on TikTok and I bought this. And I think we also live in a world where everything is like instantaneous. And so, it's sometimes I call it product hopping, right? If you want whether it's you want your acne improved, whether it's you want your skin to not be as sensitive and red and respond to, eczema under control, if it's not working instantaneously for people, sometimes they're jumping to another product, right?
Mhm.
And so I would probably say that I am definitely a little more homeopathic, but I also practice evidence-based science. And when things are reproducible as working, that is the most important thing to give advice to my patients. And so, to kind of summarize all these skincare fads and, natural versus is this bad for you? I would say sometimes the simplest regimen with consistency is the most effective. You don't need to put on 7 different acids on your face to help you, and with anti-aging. Keep it simple. I think it, not to like circle back to what we were just talking about with sun, but sun is known to increase your age appearance, right?
Mhm.
There's a stick that I read that it was estimated that increased sun exposure can age you. Um, about, I think it was like 80 to 90% of visible skin aging was related to sun.
Awesome.
Um,
So I'm actually 30. That's cool. I like it.
so, like, not only do you get more wrinkles and brown spots and all those things, and then those are the things people are coming into my office. Where's that miracle cream to reverse it, right? So, the most simple regimen is a gentle cleanser, a
Hmm.
moisturizer, and a
Hmm.
sunscreen.
Hmm.
And then all these other things, are kind of like extra depending on what your skincare goals are.
It's like
Um,
sprinkles on top of a cupcake,
Correct,
you
correct.
know?
And, I think if you start early with preventing that increased aging, right, or the accelerated aging, then you sometimes might not need some of those extra things. Um, I think too, it's very, like natural is always the thing, but similar back to like your sensitive skin, you can still have sensitivities to floral ingredients, to fruits and vegetables, And so if you're adding them into a cream and thinking, oh, this is better for me, you might still have a reaction.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, I know I was kidding earlier, but I was also kind of serious. I was sitting in a very crinkly white jacket,
yeah.
outfit, cape. I don't know how you describe that, but I definitely was sitting there and it's that moment of like, well, I probably should have kind of thing.
Yeah,
And I didn't. Okay, so skin is your largest organ, correct?
correct. Look at
It's
that.
the largest organ of your entire body. Everybody's like, "Oh, your liver." I'm like, "No, it's your skin because
Right.
it's absorbing everything. You're constantly exposed to things, and I understand that." So, when I came to you, my skin was so irritated and red, and I was frustrated because I was like, I had done exactly what you had described. I had product hopped because I was like, well, this isn't working. I've given it a month and I've taken the pre-picture and I've waited and I've tried to figure it out and it's not, and I was like, I need help. Your soap, the very simple sulfur soap is probably, I mean, I use it every day, twice a day, and my
Yeah.
skin is not angry. Because
Right.
when I came to you, my skin was literally angry. I don't know how else to have described it. And yeah, so
I feel like I
I
look at like your skin, it's your shield, right? It's like the roof of your house. And, while it's protecting everything inside of you. And if your roof has holes, right? If your barrier is not up to par, which again can be caused by a million and one different things, then you're gonna have irritation, inflammation, you're more prone to, infection, all the things. And so nourishing your skin similar to how you brush your teeth to prevent a cavity, if you just even put a simple moisturizer on every single day, you're setting yourself up for some success.
it makes a huge difference. Okay, so you've got skin, you're supposed to take care of it. You're supposed to, you know, your skin gets drier in the winter, so we start loading all of these lotions and all of this stuff. And
Correct. Yeah.
then summertime, you've got, at least in our world, a lot of the times we're in some kind of water, whether it's the bay, the ocean, the pool, like you're
Right.
constantly exposed. You know what? Let's look at that being in your bloodstream. If you're in a chlorine pool, you're
Correct.
in all of this stuff. And then I'm at an age personally where I see certain people and I have friends who have done all kinds of like chemical things in, on, and around their skin. And I'm just like, I feel like there's this weird space that people have to make a decision of, I'm either going to accept it and this is who I am and this is what I
Right.
look like, or they do weird, and I say weird, I mean like chemical and Botox and all of
Yeah.
those
No, I mean,
things.
I feel like I'm going to sound like a broken record when I say this, but like all of those things that people are doing are really to look younger, right? To like bring health back to their skin. And a lot of, while there obviously is natural aging, again, the sun is like the biggest risk factor. So like if anyone is young listening to me, wear that sunscreen, and I think it sounds crazy, but like your skin remembers every sunburn. It's like it remembers every blister. It remembers, it's not always just like,
All
oh,
the
I was
freckles on my back can agree with that.
not just sun that you get when you're, at the beach. It's through a window, driving your kids to school. There's I wish I could like show a visual of it and have it on hand, but I think it was pretty popular going around the internet where there was a truck driver who had been
Mhm.
driving and you could see how that the part of his, yeah, and even half of his face was
Oh, wow.
accelerated in age just from the sun hitting that side.
Wow.
And so around here, a lot of watermen, a lot of farmers, and some of them, tend to be more like pants wearing. And you can see it's almost like a whole different body of skin from their arms to their torso or to their legs. And so, I think it's funny how much money people will spend on trying to reverse all that damage that they did. And maybe if you just wore sunscreen every day, you don't have to be needing as much Botox and chemical peels and lasers.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, so what about all of the collagen powders? How do you feel about, I feel like there's so much, drink your collagen and do this and
Yeah.
it's good for your skin and all of that. And there's a little part of me that's like, well, doesn't your stomach acid break it down anyway? Like, is there any merit to it? Which
No,
I know I'm
it's funny.
totally putting you on the spot for that,
No, no,
but
no, no. I mean, I'll give you like what I feel. Like, I think that again, we're going into like a fad, right? And I would say that, collagen is a main structure that's in our skin. And so as we again naturally age, you lose that collagen. And so the thought process is, okay, if we get it externally, are we, increasing the collagen in our body and will it make us feel younger, have all these things? Um, But, and again, not a lot of like reproducible data that really shows that. I would say it's more of like, is it going to hurt you? Probably not. The other thing is like, where's the collagen source that we're getting? Obviously, it's not human collagen, usually. So,
Weird.
um, yeah, weird is right. So I don't think it's like shown in studies to be superior in reducing that, more of a fad if it makes you feel better, if it, I'm curious too if we're hydrating more because of the
Mhm.
collagen, and is
Mm.
that where we're seeing some of the potential benefit is because you're actually taking more fluids in?
Hadn't
Yeah.
thought of that. That's an interesting, very, very, very interesting. Okay. All right. So I feel like flowers and beauty and skin all go together. People want this glowing, fantastic face when they're doing all of their wedding pictures and all of those things.
Right.
If there's a bride or even a mom or a wedding party person or just, a human out there who wants to have better skin, where do you start? Okay, I know sunscreen, but where where do you start? What do you how do you
I
help somebody?
obviously if you like how do I say this? Like, obviously, if you're getting married, most people, not 100% for everyone, have a little bit of a planning period that, it's in the future. It's not like it's happening tomorrow. And so the number one thing is give yourself time. Again, product hoppers, you never know how you're going to react to like a new skin regimen. And so the first thing I would avoid is starting any new products very close to that day that you want your skin to be happy and flourishing. I think a lot of times brides will come into me and be like, oh, I need a facial because I want to be hydrated and I want, my skin to be perfect for the big day. And they're trying to do this right before, their big event. No, give yourself time, a basic moisturizing regimen, if you're drinking enough fluids, if you're putting moisture back into your skin, you're always going to look more glowy, you're always going to look more dewy, and you're always going to look, your skin's going to look more fresh and plump. And so that's where I would, start is if there's any specific concerns, right? Like if it's whether it's dark spots, whether it's acne, again, giving yourself time for a regimen, seeing your derm provider, and getting something good because you don't know how your skin's going to react, if you do it so close to the big day.
So
Um,
can I ask my stupid question? Because
no
I at
questions are
least get
stupid.
one of them a day.
No questions are stupid.
I taught for multiple years. There are lots of stupid questions that people. Um, okay, so you say skin, head to
Yeah,
toe.
head to toe.
Head to toe, including scalp?
Yeah, good question.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, how does scalp care differ than regular skincare? If somebody's like, hey, I've got like my scalp is weird, they would
Yeah,
still come see a dermatologist?
100%. So,
Huh.
obviously there's skin underneath your hair. And I think the difference of like treating a scalp issue is that we have to go and kind of dig through the hair, right, to get to the skin. And so sometimes hair can be a barrier. There's a very common, it's similar, it's like the cousin of dandruff, a condition called seborrheic dermatitis, where people get really flaky and itchy in their scalp. We don't really understand why certain people get it and others don't, but there's environmental triggers, stress related, weather change, all different types of things that can bring it on. And, sometimes it's like a silent, barrier to us feeling good because you don't necessarily see it. It's not as visible, but if you're itchy and flaky on your head, yeah, I mean, there's obviously different root causes of it, but it's still skin. And, sometimes a good dandruff shampoo. I'm one of those that believes probably every shower should have a dandruff shampoo.
Mhm.
Um, I think when you have a dry, flaky scalp, most people think, oh, maybe I shouldn't shampoo as much or wash my hair as much, when in reality, that can help facilitate the buildup, getting rid of the buildup, and removing some of the flake. I don't know, did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. No, I get it. I am fortunate. I am not one of those flaky. I mean, I'm flaky, but I'm not one of those people who has issues. I
Yeah,
shower I shower every day, sometimes multiple times a day, depending on
right,
what I'm in. Um, but as soon as I get out of the shower, my hair is immediately up, and 9 times out of 10, it's wet
right.
when it goes up. Like I'm fortunate that I have that durability, and I'm probably totally jinxing.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna be like, what is happening? Um, I've always been really worried that I'm gonna have some kind of weird fungus that forms because my hair is never dry. Because by the end of the day, some days my hair is still
Yeah.
damp, being wrapped up, but I go to bed and my hair's out and it dries, and I just get it wet
Right.
again. So,
And that you kind of like bring up a good point. You know, a lot of times you always get asked like how often should I wash my hair? And similar to everything in life, like it varies from patient to patient, from person to person.
yeah,
It depends. Are you know, producing more oils? Are you on the more drier side? Are you having dandruff? Are you not? You know, good hair health is definitely part of dermatology. And so sometimes it is, you know, playing around with, you know, maybe you're not actually, when you're in the shower, washing off your body because you've been sweating out in the field, you know, are you always washing your hair? Maybe you don't have to, you know, maybe you just rinse off the body, rinse off your face, and you don't necessarily have to wash your hair every time you hit in the shower.
yeah, yeah. It depends. It depends on what the heck I've been doing.
Right.
Okay, so I wanna. Okay, I had
Uh-oh.
300 questions for you today. Um, So you get to see all kinds of stuff that comes through the door, from skin damage to funky skin tags to all kinds of, like, you must see some stuff that you're like, wow. And I know, because of like rules and laws and all that kind of stuff, you're not supposed to talk about certain things. But are there moments where you look at something and you're like, ooh,
Every single day for what I do. I mean,
I love it.
it's funny because and like another thing that I don't know if was really there as popular when I first started derm, but I get asked probably daily, like if I'm similar to Dr. Pimple Popper, you know,
Oh my
that
God,
TV
yeah.
show.
Like, you're like,
You
now
either
I'm a
love,
professional.
you know, you either love pimple popping or you hate it.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, I mean, there are some things that will come into the office and I am
Oh, do you
like,
see that? Do you actually see, like, the pus? Like, do you actually see that stuff?
oh, I mean, not to like call anyone directly out, but like I have popped a pimple where like the pus shot like
Yeah.
almost over my head, eye level from all the pressure built up. Um, so yeah, I do that
Wow.
stuff too.
Wait. So you probably deal with, like, if somebody has an allergic reaction, you probably see boils and like the blisters and
Oh, everything, everything. Yeah,
wow.
I
Wow,
know,
wow, 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 wow.
I know. Yeah, I mean, I would say like on an average day, like maybe, you know, a quarter of my patients are coming in for like full body skin checks for just cancer screenings, but you know, the other three-quarters of it are rashes, you know, boils, cysts, you know,
Wow.
uncomfortable lesions.
That's such a
Yeah.
fun word. I have a lesion. Like,
So, you know,
interesting. And
I think
then
like
go
no,
ahead.
because I don't even know where I was going with that.
No, I think it must be, for me personally, it would be so hard to have that professional, like, oh, everything's fine. We're inside. I'd be like, wow, look at that.
You know, I think again with like time and you know how many patients like I've seen in my career at this point, you know, you definitely learn to like I have like a professional face that I'll put
Yeah.
on. I mean, it's kind of interesting. I mean, even though like I love my field because for the most part I'm dealing with healthy patients, you know, I'm
Mhm.
not while I can diagnose like various, you know, cancers that have metastasized and spread and obviously don't have necessarily good prognosis, my patients are coming in and talking to me, which is something that I love about the field that I'm in. Um, But, I see people in their most vulnerable state. You get down to your bra and underwear and you have a little, like you said, the crinkle paper gown over you. And I'm with a microscope, looking at every little lesion on you. And so it's funny, like patients thinking that like I'm looking at them or judging them, because it's like I've seen at this point so many nasty toenails, fungus in between the toes, feet, I've seen infections that are crazy, spots in
Wow.
the groin. And so when patients
Wow.
get nervous, I get it. I'd be the same way, but I'm like, this is what I do every day, This is nothing. I'm just looking at the lesion on your skin, not actually looking where, anything else besides that. So
That's funny. How did you end up in dermatology? How did
yeah, good
out of
question. So
all of the fields, how
yeah.
did you land?
The one thing I love about being a PA is that we are trained, we have like portability in our career where, we're not focused different to like an MD where you're matched with a specialty and that's your, life. So like I could pick up one day and be like, maybe I don't want to do derm anymore. I would never do that, but I want to switch to peds and you can kind of, in theory jump around depending on where you get the job. Specifically for derm, I had always been very intrigued with skin. Back to Melanoma Awareness Month, my grandfather actually passed away from melanoma. And so I was always inspired if I could save one person from a melanoma and detect it and catch it early, then I would be doing so, in his honor.
Mhm.
And, obviously I can thankfully say that we diagnose skin cancers pretty much daily. And so it's very rewarding. I'm also one of those people where I love the relationship that I can have with patients.
Mhm.
And so again, I'm dealing with healthy patients. I'm, seeing someone regularly is something that I was really important to me when it comes to medicine. And access, um, I think as a PA, I'm very thankful that like my job, I come in and I deal with seeing patients and diagnosing in healthcare, and I don't have to worry about all of the other minutia of like running an office or anything like that. So,
Yeah.
sort of what kind of fell into my lap with dermatology. Dermatology is very competitive, so I got very, very
Really?
lucky. Yeah, very competitive. It's got a really good work-life balance. Like I'm
Hmm.
never on call, things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And
But everybody has skin.
everyone has skin, and another like statistic of skin cancers is one out of five people will be diagnosed with a skin cancer in
Hmm.
their life. Um,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
so it's the most common type of cancer in the world. I think it's also one of the more preventable types. And so there's always going to be a need for a derm provider.
So, as women, we're always told, make sure you do your monthly breast exams and all of that kind of stuff. I feel like there's not as much of a focus of like, hey, make sure you check your skin. If
100%.
I feel like that needs to be more brought forward because, okay, that's guys and girls
100%.
and however you identify, that's everybody everywhere. Check your skin. If you're checking your skin, what are you looking for?
Great
Because
question. Great
there's
question.
people who have like no moles and they're fine in some places, but if you look at my back, as you know, I have lots of like freckles and moles, and then there's other people who have tons of moles, and then there's raised moles and flat moles,
Yeah,
and like, what do you, how do you know that it's time to come see you?
that's a great question. So,
What do you do?
obviously, like, there's no standard guideline like when you should start a skin check, and it's based off of like risk, right? So if you are like fairer skinned, more freckly, lighter hair, lighter eyes, a career that's in the sun, a family history of skin cancers, those obviously put you at a little bit more of an elevated risk of developing it yourself, tanning bed use. And so it's one of those
You're not
things that,
supposed to do that.
yeah.
You're not
Oh
supposed
gosh,
to go to tanning bed.
another podcast at this point. And so,
Sorry.
obviously, it's never a wrong time to come in and get a skin cancer screening. And I think you bring up a good point. Like, what do you look for? Obviously, the more common types of skin cancer that you don't really hear about are basal and squamous, and they usually present like a pimple that doesn't go away, something bleeding on its own, not healing. If I had a nickel for patients that would tell me, hey, I know that my dog hit me, or I know I nicked myself shaving, but it never healed. It's been there for 6 months and it ends up being a skin cancer. I'm not quite sure if it's like the body, thinking, oh, this was just a normal cut, or if it's something where we're starting to appreciate a little bit more of like a reactive type of skin cancer where it's developing in an area of known trauma. Those are the big things. If something looks funny, is acting funny, go into your derm provider and get it checked out.
So I am gonna say probably some of the biggest takeaways from our conversation today is wear sunscreen. Um, don't put oil on your skin to go out and lay in the sun, apparently. Even if it has SPF of 4 in it, that doesn't.
SPF of 4, can you still find those? Because I feel
I
like
don't
I
know.
don't see them on the shelf as much anymore, but I know that was big, obviously, like when I was growing up, like,
Mhm.
full disclosure, like I hate to admit this, but I was in a tanning bed before I knew better. I was using, tanning oils and things like that. Another scary statistic, I read it the other day. It was like if you've been in a tanning bed before the age of 35, there's a 75% increase that you could develop melanoma. I'm butchering that. Um, if you've been in a
Wow.
tanning bed before 35, you're at a 75% more increased rate of developing melanoma.
Wow. I'm
Scary.
screwed.
Scary. Very scary.
I,
Uh,
I love the fact that people now for prom, it's leaned more towards spray tan. And
yeah.
if you think about history, we have really done a disservice to us as humans because it used to be, the affluent and the beautiful were the pale skinned of
Analyst,
the
the
world.
baddest, right? The
Yeah,
best
yeah.
feminine, right?
But that
That
pale skin because it meant that you didn't have to work, that you didn't have to be outside. And I don't, I am a cranky human if I am not allowed to be outside. Like, please
yeah,
put me outside. Winter is awful, and I know
right.
you still get like, rays and all of the stuff from winter, and it's more intense. And I'm just like, I go in that hoop house, and I'm like, oh, thank God, please cook me because I need that vitamin D.
And
So,
the thing is again, like I want to like stress that that's life. I would never tell
yeah,
someone don't go outside. It's
no,
just obviously the, taking into consideration, that you are getting exposed and how are you going to protect yourself when you are outside, right?
yeah, do it smart.
Yeah, I still
Do
go
it
to the beach and, I might be under an umbrella, I might be wearing a big hat and sunscreen and sunglasses, but I'm still getting that, dopamine
Yeah.
increase
Oh,
from being outside.
100%. Just put me outside. Put me on, just please let me go outside.
Right.
So, okay. To round this out,
Yeah.
if you were a flower, what flower would you be?
Ooh. I feel like I can't say sunflower because that would just be against
You absolutely can.
oh
Those
my God. That's
guys,
the first thing that came to
oh
my
my
head.
God, a sunflower loves the sun so much that it actually follows it. So,
Oh, no, I've always like why I don't know, but I feel like I'm always really loved daisies. I don't know again why I would be a daisy, but daisy's the flower of April, right?
oh God, I'm so bad at the
You're
monthly
on the
one.
spot. I don't know
Oh,
either, but
I'm
I think it
so bad at that. I should have them memorized, I'm sure. But I think it also depends on there's like the natural ones, the standard ones. Like there's all of these rules now about like the month of
right.
the flower, just like the stones,
Yeah.
like the birth stones. You can have multiple stones, and it's like, okay, could you? I
Yeah.
just, it's some Hallmark thing that's made up. You know that.
Me too. I think so too.
So,
Um,
all right. So if people want to come find you, if they want to, first of all, if they want to see a dermatologist, how do they find one? But if they're in our area and local enough, how do they find you and set an
yeah.
appointment?
Good question. So, we try to make specifically to Well-Av Dermatology, we try to make it as easy as possible for patients. So, if you go to our website, oh God, what is our website off the top of my head? Out it's wellavdermatology.com, but now I need to look it up.
You're like, wait, wait, wait. Is that actually correct?
Is that correct? Oh, okay. Um, So specifically, if they want to find me, we try to make it as easy for patients. So our website is www.wellav.com, and we have the ability to schedule and book an appointment online, which has been very favorable because, again, we live in a very, fast-moving society, and so sometimes just not having to call and, speak to someone and just do it on your own time after hours, is super
After
helpful.
hours. That's the biggest thing. That's the
Right.
thing that I love is that I can log on and be like, oh, it's 8:30. I meant to call earlier today. I
Yeah.
know I have to set my appointment, and I can just go ahead and drop it in there and be like, oh, it's done. So,
100%. I mean,
yeah,
it's a huge, there's obviously like little kinks sometimes with like insurance providers if like you're not quite sure, but even if you just set up the appointment,
yeah.
someone from our office reaches out to you during normal business hours to get everything in order. So that's usually the easiest way. Obviously, don't hesitate to talk to your own primary care provider.
Mhm.
They are kind of your hub for getting you if is this a dermatology issue, is it not? And that would be my recommendation is I think everyone should have a derm provider in their network.
That's a great point. That is a great point. I will say that out of all of the self-care things that I do, and I'm not saying this just because I love you. I'm saying this because it's honestly true. I don't have any anxiety when I come to see you.
Oh,
Like it
so
doesn't it doesn't stress me. I'm never like the dentist. If they have to do
this
anything,
story,
that's a whole separate topic.
a whole nother story. We all
Absolutely.
have skin, right? And back to my point, like obviously patients are coming in and they're in a very vulnerable state. But we all have skin and it's like you pointed out, the biggest organ on our body. And we want to take care of it just like everything else.
Yeah, it's important. It's so important. So, thank you. Thank you so much for taking time today to sit, to chat, to talk about lesions, to talk about and to be 100% transparent about, hey, this is why you need to do these things. So, I am going to link all of your information and everything in the show notes. That will be all in there. Um, I'm sure folks will be, wanting to ask you questions.
Yes.
And just thank you. Thank you for taking care of me, both my kids, my staff. You are our go-to person. If anybody has any issues, if there's anything, and they all come back and say the same thing. They all say the same thing every single time. That was a great visit. We love her.
Oh,
So
thank you so
I
much. That
am
means so
in love
much.
to you. I love you to death. Thank you.
It has seriously been such an honor, and I'm so happy that the wedding and my office, well, have brought me back into you back into my life, and
Amen.
it's such an honor to take care of you and your loved ones, and yeah, I'm obsessed with you too. So the feeling's mutual.
Right back at you. Right back at you. So perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
Thank
Mwah. I will talk
you.
to you
Yeah.
soon.